World War I was unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Before 1914, wars were brutal but limited in scale. Armies fought on open fields using rifles and sabers. But the Great War shattered that illusion. It was the first truly industrial war, a conflict where factories, chemistry labs, and bureaucracies replaced cavalry charges. And on the Western Front, the war became something closer to a machine of endless death. For 3 years, the Western Front barely moved. From the coast of Belgium to the borders of Switzerland, 2 massive armies dug themselves into the earth. Trenches stretched for hundreds of miles. Between them, no man's land, a barren strip littered with corpses, barbed wire, and shell craters. Every assault played out the same way. Days of artillery bombardment, then a wave of soldiers climbing over the top, only to be cut down by machine guns or artillery within minutes. The result was a loop of slaughter with no end in sight. Faced with this horrific stalemate, commanders on all sides turned to science in desperation. They wanted something to break the deadlock, something new. The answer came from chemistry. In 1915, the German army released clouds of chlorine gas at the Second Battle of Ypres. Soldiers saw green fog drifting toward them and didn't know what it meant until it burned their eyes, filled their lungs, and choked them to death. It was the first large-scale use of chemical weapons in modern warfare. Soon, all major powers followed. Phosgene, mustard gas, tear gas, each more insidious than the last. Soldiers began to fear the wind as much as enemy shells. Gas seeped silently into trenches, burned skin, and blinded eyes. Mustard gas, the most infamous, caused blisters the size of fists and lung damage that could last a lifetime. But gas also created something new, a horror that lingered, that left its victims broken but alive, coughing and scarred. Yet for all its terror, chemical warfare was rarely decisive. Gas was unpredictable. Wind could blow it back on your own troops. Masks could offer protection. And unlike bullets or shells, gas often failed to kill outright. It maimed, slowed, disrupted. But it rarely delivered the breakthroughs that generals hoped for. Its psychological impact was often greater than its tactical effect. By the end of the war, over 1 million casualties were attributed to gas, but only a small percentage were fatalities. The world had witnessed what it could do and recoiled. In the 1925 Geneva Protocol, nations agreed to ban the use of chemical and biological weapons. And in World War II, despite its scale and brutality, gas was almost entirely avoided on the battlefield. Even Hitler, himself a victim of gas in World War I, refrained from using it in combat against soldiers. But the taboo didn't last forever. As the 20th century progressed and geopolitical values fractured, chemical weapons resurfaced. During the Iran-Iraq War in the 1980s, Saddam Hussein's forces used mustard gas and nerve agents not only against Iranian troops, but also against civilians in Halabja, a Kurdish town where thousands were killed in a single chemical attack. The horror returned, this time not as an experiment, but as a coldly calculated tactic. So why did gas warfare vanish after World War I, only to return in moments of deep political and moral decay? Perhaps it's because gas represents something uniquely awful. It's invisible, inescapable, and indifferent. Unlike a bullet which targets a soldier, gas targets everything: men, women, children, animals, even the air itself. It poisons not just bodies, but the very idea of war as something that can have rules. World War I taught humanity many terrible lessons. Among them, some weapons are too cruel, even for war. But history also shows that restraint is fragile. When fear, ideology, and desperation collide, the unthinkable can be rethought. Gas didn't end trench warfare, but it changed how we see war itself, not as honor, not as glory, but as a place where even the air can turn against you.